Hey guys, so this week's training is all about finding your path in the modeling industry, and it kind of ties into the Google form that's attached to this week's email. And it's all about, finding your path. We're going to create your roadmap and get some specific goals down. So it's all about where you belong in the industry and how do we get you there. And a little bit of the beginning is some, what's it called? Might be, you guys might already know it if you're an experienced model is what I'm trying to say. But if you just skip ahead maybe to the middle or end of the video to skip that part or rewatch it, either way, but let's go ahead and get started. So in order to find out where you belong, we need to start at the basics and talk about the different types of modeling and industry basics. So the main types of modeling are editorials, runway, campaigns, commercial or e-com, and freelance or hobby modeling. So what do those mean, right? Editorials are sets of images that tell a story, and you usually find them in magazines or published like that. So they're usually more creative, and they are not set to one designer or theme or something like that. It's an overall storytelling experience. Runway obviously is a little bit more, what's it called? Self-explanatory. And runway is, a live event or a filmed event where you are wearing clothes or displaying outfits or shoes or accessories to sell. Campaigns are going to be ads. So any type of advertisement or something like that. Usually that would be like published or on a billboard or something like that. Commercial and e-commerce is going to be ads and e-commerce, like if you shop online, but it's not going to be the same as campaigns. A campaign might be like a photo shoot, like think of like Victoria's Secret, right? Think of the difference between a Victoria's Secret ad in a magazine versus a Victoria's Secret shopping catalog. That's the difference between campaigns and commercial, if that makes sense. Freelance and hobby modeling are working for yourself as a model and not following a traditional career path. All right, these are some examples of the main types of modeling. So this picture of the yellow car with the model on, that would be like an editorial. She's wearing different designer items. She's telling more of a story. There's more of a theme. The one to the right of that, which is Kendall Jenner, I think it's a Burberry ad. That's a campaign, right? It's for Burberry, which is a designer, a high fashion designer, if you didn't know. And so that would be like considered a campaign, right? Next, let's go to the far right. That would be more of like I put as like the freelance or hobby model, because you can be more unique and alternative with your editing style or your style of, aesthetic or whatever. And then we've got bottom left, which is runway. Obviously, you can tell she's walking down the runway. And then bottom right, that would be commercial or e-com, because you might see that when you shop on Nike or something like that, right? Okay, now let's talk about the other types of modeling. So we've got athletic and sport modeling, beauty and parts modeling, swimwear, lingerie, alternative, and artistic. So athletic and sport, that's going to be like something like Nike or Gymshark. Then we've got beauty and parts. Beauty is like skincare and makeup, things like that, where it's like really close-in shots of the face. Parts modeling is like hand modeling, something like that. Swimwear is going to be obviously swimwear. Lingerie, that's going to be any type of lingerie modeling like Victoria's Secret. And then alternative or artistic, obviously, is self-explanatory. It's more storytelling, more emotion evoking, things like that, right? Or maybe like heavily tattooed, something like that. Okay, here's some examples of the other types. So starting from the left, we've got a sport model, then we've got a, skincare model, a parts model, swimmer, lingerie, and alternative. So let's switch gears and talk about agencies versus freelancing. This is another topic that is repeated for advanced models. But for the new models, I will also be including a link and probably the PDF to a old training I did that's all about these industry basics if you want to check it out. And let's talk about agencies versus freelancing. Which one is right for you? So here are some of the types of modeling, the types of agencies and types of contracts. We've got a mother agency. A mother agency is an agency that discovers you or develops you into a model, and then is usually with you for a long time or your whole career. Even if you get signed with a different agency or, signed to a booking agency or whatever it is, they're like a mother. They develop you. So SCHWARTZ Models is a mother agency. A boutique agency is a small agency, so they are able to provide more one-on-one time and training or development. So SCHWARTZ Models is also a boutique agency. Traditional modeling agency, that's just going to be your run-of-the-mill agency that's, following the industry standards, I guess, or they're very traditional in their contracts and standards, if that makes sense. A non-exclusive contract is going to be a contract where you can sign with other agencies or something like that. So you can sign with other people or work with other people. An exclusive contract is when you can only work with that agency. A one-time only contract might mean that they bring you on for a time only project. And a mother contract is a contract that you sign at the beginning of your career and it lasts throughout the majority of your career or to the end of your career. Let's talk about some things to consider. So I wonder if I can move I can't. Okay, let me grab my iPad because I hope it's not covering for you guys, but on my screen, my little icon is covering the text and I can't see it. So let me bring it up on my iPad, but let's talk about some things to consider when it comes to agencies. Here's some questions that you can ask yourself if you are thinking about signing or you are signed and you might want to place with another agency one day, or if you're thinking about being signed long-term. All right, so I have my iPad here, so I'm just going to be reading. Do you want to work on development? Some agencies do not develop. Do you need help setting up test shoots? Do you want to be placed with a larger agency one day? Do you want to follow a more traditional career path? Are you able to commit long-term to modeling or a particular agency long-term? Does the agency meet your personal requirements or boundaries? Do you want to get booked as a paid model? Do you want to attend castings? Do you want to walk in runways? Does your agency provide one-on-one training? Because most don't. So, for example, answering these questions, even if it's in your head, will help you narrow down what kind of agency you might want to be placed with, or if you want to be placed long-term with an agency, or if agency might not be the right thing for you long-term. Like, for example, let's see. Do you want to be placed with a larger agency one day? Depending on some mother contracts you sign, that might not be available to you for a certain amount of years or a certain amount of jobs. Or do you want to get booked as a paid model? If you're not signed with a booking agency, you probably aren't going to get as many jobs. Let's see. Does your agency provide one-on-one training? If you're looking for development, you make sure that the agency has development. So those are just a few questions to ask yourself when it comes to agencies. So let's talk about things to consider for freelancing. So freelancing is great because you work for yourself. If you don't know what a freelancer is or a freelance model is, a freelancer can be in any field, but a freelance model would be a model who is not signed, who works for themselves and finds jobs for themselves. So some things to consider when it comes to freelancing: you do have your freedom over workload and schedule. You don't have an agent setting up jobs for you, so you can create your own schedule. However, that also means you have to find all of your own work. It's a less traditional path. So you don't have to bother with shoots you might not be interested in doing or looks that you might not be interested in doing. A lot of agencies will have you do certain looks to fill your books. And if you're a freelancer, you don't have to do that. You can create your own portfolio with whatever style you like. There's no pressure to do certain types of shoots or jobs. However, you might have too niche of a portfolio to land jobs. So that's something to consider. Creating your own team. If you work for yourself, you never have to worry about a collaborator you don't like. You get to choose the photographer, the makeup, the artist, the makeup artist, wardrobe, etc. However, you might not have as much access to these collaborators. So I know a lot of photographers won't work with freelance models. They want to work with signed models for free. They will work with freelance models, but they charge a studio fee. So it is harder to maybe have collaborators going in on test shoots. Okay, next let's start narrowing down your options. So it would be great to grab a piece of paper and a pen for this if you want to kind of do this exercise with me here. And it will kind of tie into the Google form that I have for you. So let's narrow down your options. So these are some questions to consider when we're thinking about your options. First of all, what type of modeling do you want to do? So now that you kind of know the different types of modeling, what do you think would suit you best? Is it editorials, runway, whatever it is? I would recommend picking one or two or three, but that's probably narrowed down enough. I would say two is probably the golden rule to really focus on. You can do everything, of course. Two, give yourself a percentage of how developed you already are in this type of modeling. So if it's editorials, are you 10% developed? Like maybe you've done one photo shoot, are you 0%? And it's okay if you are. If you've been working for a little bit, are you about 60%? How do you feel in that position? Number three, what are your top 3 goals that you can attain in the next 3 months for modeling? And this can relate to kind of what you're already doing if you are an experienced model, but what are your top 3 goals for the next 3 months? And number 4, how are those specific goals related to the type of modeling you want to do? These 2 questions together can really narrow down and help you get specific about your actual steps to complete that goal, if that makes sense. So if I want to do runway and my top 3 goals are to be in a runway, let's see, go to 5 castings for runway and, develop my signature walk, then how are those developed, or how are those related to my overall goal or my overall interest in runway? That way you can really narrow down what it is, and it will help you. That seems really obvious, but it will really help you narrow it down if they're not so obvious. So if you want to do editorial, but your top 3 goals are maybe be in a runway show, let's see, go to 5 castings, but also work with 5 new photographers, you might want to narrow that down even more to maybe change directions or whatever it is, if that makes sense. I think I'm going on too long about that. So number 5, what are the 3 things that you need help with the most, just in modeling in general? And number 6, how are those weaknesses related to the type of modeling you want to do? That will also help narrow down your specific goals to achieve the goals that we have listed in number 3. So let's see. Number 7, which type of modeling do you want to do, but know little about or have reservations about? This would be great as a backup way or something that you can add in. Next, let's talk about goals and goal ideas. It's important to set attainable goals at different levels of difficulty. Setting specific goals and attainable goals to work through will give us a clear vision of how to make the best modeling path for you. And that kind of goes in with your roadmap. So when I receive your guys' goals, I can make that roadmap for you. So for example, in 3 months, here's my 3-month, 6-month, and 12-month goals. 3-month goal, be in a magazine. And under it, I listed shoot editorial style campaign and plan out photo shoots with multiple looks, because I know that I can't really get a campaign and be in a magazine if I don't have multiple looks. My 6-month goal is to work with 5 new photographers, learn how to reach out to photographers, and work with agents to set up test shoots. 12-month goal, get placed with a booking agency. So in order to do that, we need to develop a portfolio for fashion and work with agent to get industry ready. So that's just an example of what a roadmap could look like. It will probably be more detailed, but here are some goal ideas. So growing your Instagram, working with new photographers, getting placed with a booking agency, walking in a runway, being in a campaign, getting featured on Instagram pages, doing a brand deal, or being in a magazine. So when you put all those together, you're narrowed down, ideas of your own wishes, if that makes sense, and your goals and how those all blend together in what you're interested in doing. You will have a very specific roadmap that you can check off and feel really accomplished about, and we can get you on the right path when it comes to modeling. So to do part 2 of this training, well, not really, but you will have to fill out the Google form. If you haven't already, make sure to email me for that, or check the email if you're watching this. When I sent out the weekly training, it's in that video, or it's in that email. If you're not watching this at that time, you can just email me, but fill out those, that roadmap in goal planning. And then I will give you a customized roadmap with specific steps to take to get to those goals. And I can provide the best impact on that road as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's topic. I know it's a little bit different of a topic. It's kind of a weird topic to be talking about topics, if that makes sense. But I think that this would help with our roadmap, and we're going to get into some nitty-gritty training. Not next week, but the week after, we'll be talking all about posing. So I'm really excited. And if you have any questions, please let me know, and I will see you guys next time.